Hi, welcome to Brain Break with Randy and Keitho. Keitho finally makes an appearance. I was just watching one of Randy's brain breaks where he was talking about uh, enjoying IT programming courses when he was young and studying in university. And so I thought I would tell a story of my own about my university years. You may catch from my accent or my use of the word university that I grew up in Canada. Sometimes here in the States, we call it college instead of university. I don't know when to call it university and when to call it college, but in Canada, we always called it university uh, to distinguish from community colleges, I guess. I went to a four-year university. Uh, like Randy mentioned in his little story, my dad had said to me, become a lawyer, a doctor, or an accountant and work hard. You'll always be able to take care of your family. And I had worked for my dad in his accounting office from the time I was 12 and didn't like the work I was doing. Well, that's not what accountants do. That's what the bookkeepers do that work for accountants. But I didn't get that. I was a teenager. What do you think? And so I chose a different path. But he said, at least for your pre law, I chose law, can you tell? At least for your pre law, take accounting. So I took, at that time in University of Alberta, it was in Edmonton, it was called a Bachelor of Commerce degree. And that's what you took if you wanted to go into accounting. And so I enrolled in a Bachelor of Commerce program. And I think it was in the second year, it might have been third year, I took a course in Fortran programming. And I found that really enjoyable. But just to tell you, the programming was done with punch cards. So I would have a sheet of paper that had rows and columns, almost like an answer sheet for a test. Or you've seen sheets where you fill in, there's one block for each letter. And I would write out my program in these blocks. And then I would sit down at a punch card machine and I would type out the characters for each row on a separate card. The cards were about maybe 4 inches, 4.5 inches high, and about 6 or 7 inches wide. They were a stiff, like a light card, maybe a 15-pound weight cardboard. Um, and they had rows and columns on them, and the machine would actually punch the letter for each column. And there were, I guess it would have been 36 rows, a row for A, a row for B, all the way through XYZ, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And so you could see it would print along the top of the card the actual characters, but it would punch out whichever character was the one that you had typed for each column. And then you would put those cards together. Every line of code was one card, and they were 80 characters wide. There was a continuation character if you needed to continue your line of code, because you couldn't punch past column 80. It didn't exist. After you had all of your code punched out on these cards and you put the cards in the right order, you'd put a rubber band around them. We called it elastic band in Canada. Down here they call it a rubber band. And I would go to a little window that was like an order window at a drive-through restaurant, the outside order window. And I would put my cards into a basket there. And then periodically the computer operator from the back would come and pick up those bundles of cards, because there were other students also working in that same room submitting jobs that they needed to be run. and he or she would take that back and put it through some optical reader that would read all those holes and then run that program and do whatever the program said it was supposed to do, and then print out the results of the program, whatever it was told to print, on green bar folded paper. So this was 17 inches wide, about 8.5 inches high, but it was a continuous paper that had folds in it. And so, and you could tear the pieces apart. And then that printout job would come back and be put in a different basket at that window with the original punch cards. And I would, after I'd waited for the 45 minutes or whatever it was till my job got done, I'd pick it up and I'd go back over and I'd look at it and see if the results were what I needed them to be, what I was expecting them to be. And if they weren't, I'd have to look at my program and figure out, well, what did I do wrong? And okay, I couldn't just look at the cards. That's why you had the sheet of paper to, and I think we used pencil to write out all your lines of code so that you could go back and look at something a human could read and go, oh, there on line 13, I made a mistake. I should have used, the word type instead of the word print or whatever it was. I mean, it's been years. I don't remember all of it. Or maybe I had missed a parentheses or missed a semicolon or something. So I'd put that in. I'd repunch that one card. If it was only one card, that was great. Sometimes it was several cards. Put it back into the stack of cards in the right place, and then resubmit that batch or that set of cards for the computer operator to run that job in his next batch, and then my printout would come out. And so Randy's talking about having studied Fortran 4 and Fortran 5 made me think of those days when I was doing punch cards at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Alberta, when I was just a young man. If it was before I went on my mission, I was either 17 or 18. And if it was after, I was like 21 or 22, just after I got home from my mission. And I'll tell you more stories about that later, but that's probably long enough for right now. Thank you for listening. We are so grateful that you take your time to listen to Brain Break with Randy and KeithO. And usually it's just Brain Break with Randy. He's really keeping up the his end of the bargain. So I'm trying to get better. I'll keep working at it. And please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. And thanks for listening.